Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and today is Friday, January 22nd. One more week of January to go, basically for trading. So, congratulations, you made it through another trading week. One, in particular, where everybody's trying to scare you about the market, right? Talking about market bubbles and overbought and all kinds of things like that. So just a lot of noise to get through, and pretty much things that we already know, really. We know that there's just a tremendous amount of momentum in the marketplace. Small caps, you have a lot of retail participants now in that are trading a lot of different names, getting together and kind of creating some momentum in some small cap names. But I'll tell you, where it really everybody talking about, hey, we're probably going to get a pullback. February is a little bit weaker, but I'll tell you, it's really difficult to predict when. It's impossible to predict when that volatility is going to come, when that correction is going to come. So if you've been kind of staying the course and been able to kind of tune out some of that noise, congratulations to you, because it is not easy, right, with everybody constantly telling you and reminding you that there's a market bubble. So how many times have we heard that this week? It's pretty tremendous, right? So let's talk a little bit about the day's performance. We'll talk about the week's performance too. And we'll talk about a couple other things here too. But for the day, really, I would say what stood out here was the small caps. They were up 2.1% from the open, so they really made a big move intraday, and they finished up 1.1%. So just when you think the small caps are dead, right, they come back pretty decently. They were kind of cooled a little bit this week, but I mean, look at that performance. Another thing to note too, like about the noise and stuff. I came in today. I listened to Bloomberg Radio in the morning. I love those guys, but on that broadcast as well as other ones, you heard about risk off this morning, and you look, it's like the market is down like 0.5%, right, making it sound like the market's down like 2 or 3%. Really not that bad. I get it. They're selling ratings and so forth, but really, we just really haven't had much of a sell signal in the indices. I get that question a lot. Hey, when do you think we're going to have a correction? I have no idea. But I think if you're really worried about that, what you do is, you take some trades off and you get to a level where you're comfortable, right? Instead of trying to figure out and predict when that is going to happen. But you look at IWM, right, started to kind of, move back into this kind of, channel in here. And it's back to basically the highs. So very, very strong. If we want to look at the other indices, this did well for the week too. S&P, down just fractionally for the day. And then the standout for the week was the Qs, right? The Qs were, again, down just ever so slightly, but, they're at a breakout right now. And impressive, taking that next leg higher. Right, so here's the performance for the week, just so that you can kind of see what areas outperformed. Chinese internets were up about almost 11%. The home builders also, which we've talked about a couple times this week, were up 9.5% this week. By the way, this is 5-day performance. So remember, today was this week was a 4-day week, so that I'm including the performance from Friday as well. Internet stocks, they were strong. They were up 4%. Again, clean energy close to the top, as well as solar, up both 1.4%, 1.5%. So they remain continuously strong. It's interesting, when we look at the solar ETF, which I've been long for a decent amount of time, how much of that dip was bought from last Friday, right? I mean, this closed on the lows on Friday, and it's almost back to the highs again. Just very impressive, I would say, is a quick adjective to describe that. Tech also in their consumer discretionary, retail up 1.5%. Some very good performance. Chinese internets also. Would you look at the FXI ETF up 6%? That was a trade that I talked about. I think that was not this last Thursday, but a week ago. So a week and a day. I was on Bloomberg TV talking about going long FXI. That trade has really worked out. I liked just what we've been hearing out of China in terms of growth. Multiple factors there. Talking about the trade data. That was really what got me interested. A week ago was just hearing about their trade surplus, as well as hearing things about steel shortages and all kinds of things like that. So really nice performance for the week and a breakout for FXI. If we look at this in terms of the weekly chart, now that the week is done, we're getting close to all-time highs in that FXI ETF. Close. So we'll see if we stall here or if not. But for now, that trade worked very, very well. All right, and then underperformers, what I like to refer to as dirty energy, oil services down 8%. Also metals and mining, right? We talked about this a little bit in yesterday's video. Continued to be, I believe that group was down again today. So, again, you kind of have to really pay attention to some of these sectors, manage them with trade stops. And, I was looking for some steel, I made some money in this name, Reliance Steel, about 2 weeks ago, and then I started to look for an entry back in this thing, and it just did not hold in well. So, maybe there's a little bit of back and filling going on here. I'm not really sure yet. I don't think that there's a trade, but it'll be something that I monitor, right? But that was one that we made money on a couple weeks ago. All right, getting back to today's performance, let me just zoom out a little bit. So I mentioned small caps very, very strong. And actually today, what managed to do very well from the open were those dirty energy stocks, OIH, XOP. Also retail in there, very strong, up 2.3% for the day. Lots of crazy moves within this space. We'll talk about a couple names here. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. But, obviously, a lot of focus on what GameStop did today and, another colossal move. But things like Palantir, this was calls that I was in. I basically wrote off calls that I was in about a week ago. Sometimes this, I get this question a lot about how I trade options. And I have really learned over the years to size them correctly. Some people there's all different types of way to trade options. Basically, what I've done over time, I've learned to do is just tone down position size. I realized that one of the mistakes that I was doing over the years was getting into an option position and then stopping myself out. When even sometimes the stock barely did anything. So what I've learned to do is just tone down the size of how I trade options. I trade less options, and when I take a shot at something, I leave it on, and the stop is the premium. So if I get into something for $2, the stop is zero, right? That's all I can lose. Rather than stopping myself out for $1.50 or something like that, I realized over time I was stopping myself out, and then the stock would do what I would wanted it. What I wanted it to do in the first place. So just like, same thing with Palantir. When I got into calls, I think I got into them for, average price around $2.50, and they went down to like $1.50 or something like that. And I'm like, that'd probably be a full loss. Well, today, look at what happened, right? They came back and they came back with a vengeance, and I turned it into a winning trade, right? But so again, the reason why I have the patience to just say, hey, I'll let the calls go to zero is because whenever I click the mouse, I know exactly what I'm going to risk, right? Now, that's basically short-term options. These were February options. If I go out longer than that, if more than 3 months, then I will incorporate a stop price because the premium is more. But for something that I'm taking a shot at, short-term options, that's the way that I've learned to make it work for me. Again, everybody's different. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but this worked really well. So I was happy to get this to work very well. Then the other trade that we got, that I got long trying to think how long ago, about a week ago, I think, and then I added to it a little bit. This is JMIA, up 25%. So, just amazing the the volatility and the momentum in some of these names. It's just it's totally impressive is the best way I can describe it. A number of other names worked pretty well too. You kind of had to pick and choose, but so many of these things moved. Stitch Fix is another one, up another 18%. So when we talk about, I mentioned this retail group, right? So XRT, right? And if we look at, if we look at the movers in XRT, Stitch Fix should be in there. Yeah, GameStop up 51%, Stitch Fix. MGNI, which saw a lot of option activity. Overstock was another name, but, just all around, I think, very, very impressive looking. All right, so that's a couple, just a couple of the names that saw momentum for the day. Our TTG portfolio, our watch list trade that we have every week, up another. This actually finished up 5.7% for the week, so really nice outperformance again. This is a really nice system that we've put in place since last August, since we started to do this trade, where I buy all these names on the open on Monday, hold them through the week till 3 o'clock on Friday, and then I substitute out of the list and into SPY, hold SPY over the weekend, and go into the new watch list. But APPN was up 20% for the week. Teladoc, how could I forget Teladoc? What happened today in Teladoc? Don't these charts look similar? It's kind of crazy, right? But Teladoc up 7%. Very impressive. One name, by the way, I'm watching next week is this FT Farfetch. Almost has triggered, right? And the valuaries, the market web valuary is doing a great job here. Notice that this is trying to break out. Look at how many times it's tried to do it. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5. So maybe just not yet, but I think that this thing, if I had to guess, resolves itself higher. So one name that I will be watching next week. A couple other names that I thought were interesting. Peloton, was up just 1%. Chewy is another name I'm watching for next week, into some support here, top of value. But we'll have a number of names. I'll be going through charts as I always do in scans, and I'll be coming up with another watch list trade. But here's our here's the trades that I did for the day, by the way. NEO is another good one, right? NEO finally turned the corner. You've had to have a little bit of patience with this one, but turned the corner, was up 6% for this one. If we go to the TTG portfolio channel, here's the performance since I started this trade back in August, up 59%. So again, that's just one of our programs, right? This is a new one, and this is kind of my pet project over the last few months. And I have to say, to put in the work, right, that I do over the weekend, it's very rewarding to me to actually enact it and make money on it, right? Rather than just put out a watch list and hope for the best, right? And say, oh, this is great. These names are up. It's much more rewarding when you actually have, a trade on. So if we go to our TTG resources, right, this is how our system, a little bit of marketing here, but that's what we're doing here, right, in this watch list trade. My other accounts, trading account, I could tell you, like, so far, this year, I feel like I could be doing a little bit better, but I think I'm up about 12% year to date. The TTG watchlist trade probably up a little bit more than that, but obviously that's a smaller account. And then the TTG trend portfolio also doing very well. We've added some international exposure. A couple months ago, right? We added EEM. I've also got KWeb in there. I also added IXUS, which I couldn't remember the other day. So the international exposure has been doing pretty well in the portfolio. But yeah, this is what you get if you're a member of Tribeca Trade Group. these are the programs that we run, and I update you guys on every week. So very thrilled that the way, this week wasn't perfect, in terms of trading, but we're humming along, right? And that's the idea, is to try to squeeze profits out of this market every week, despite all the doubting that we're getting on the market every week. So that's it for the end of week video. Again, a real nice week. Here's the performance again overall for the week. S&P finished up 1.1%. The Dow was basically flat. Good performance out of the Qs. IWM came in the clutch today. TLT was up a little bit, and emerging markets were also up a little bit for the week. That's it for the week, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Members, you could watch. Those videos will come out on Sunday for you. The macro video as well as the new watch list. Have a great weekend, everybody.